This conference will now be recorded.
There we go.
Good morning, everybody. Call the Lake Stevens meeting of commissioners to order here on beautiful December 14th. And why don't we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Public forum. I will note that there's a letter in the packet in regards to the district expanding upstairs. I want to note that. Also, I saw an email come in this morning in terms of some affirmation of some of the good work the district's doing. So I want to note that. Any other cards and letters to read in the public record other than those two?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody on the virtual wall with me that would like to address the commission? Anybody in our vast gallery would like to say a word today? All right. Well, let's close the public forum. We have a beautiful agenda in front of us. How do we like that agenda?
I like the agenda, and if there is nothing to add, subtract, go ahead and make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We got an agenda. We got some consent items this morning, A through I. How do we like said consent items?
I make a motion to approve consent items A through I.
And I will second that.
I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Right along. Old business, Fagerly DEA addendum. I assume we're going to staff.
All right. So the DEA addenda is essentially just a change of ownership for the Fagerly plat. It's going from the original owners to Mainview Homes LLC, I think.
Yep.
And you'll notice that there's a relatively unique reimbursable agreement where the owner will not be the one collecting the latecomer. It'll be the original owner for this one. So the DEA addenda has been reviewed by staff, legal, and is recommended for approval.
All right. Any discussion there?
Nope, sounds like everybody's approved of it, so I would go ahead and make a motion to approve the addendum to the Fagerly Development Extension Agreement as recommended by staff and approved by legal and everybody else that's looked at it.
I second it.
All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let's go to 6B. This is 228 North Davies DEA.
All right. So this is a developer extension agreement for, I believe it is 3 ERUs. There is a latecomer agreement attached to that DEA, and that's why it's before the board, but it's been reviewed by staff and legal and is recommended for approval.
All right.
It's a little out of order. I think the packet got.
No problem. Well, I have no questions.
All right.
Okay, I go ahead and make a motion to approve the 228 North Davies Road Developer Extension Agreement as recommended by staff, approved by legal and everyone else.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Passes. And that brings us to 6C, Centennial Short Plat, 2024 DEA.
All right. So this is kind of a rehashing of the original Centennial DEA. That DEA expired before the sewer work was complete. So according to our policy, they had to reapply for the a new developer extension agreement, and that's this agreement. The DEA has been reviewed by staff and legal counsel and is recommended for approval.
All right. Any dialogue on this one?
I make a motion to approve the Centennial Short Plat 2024 DEA as recommended by staff and approved by legal.
I second it.
I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving down to new business, 7A, we got a 2023 third quarter financials to talk about.
Yes.
Welcome.
Let me see. And give me just one moment. I'm going to make this bigger for you guys.
No problem. It came right up, by the way.
Great. Better?
Looks good.
Okay. All right. So, third quarter basically was consistent with the first 2 quarters of the year. No real surprises, but we're going to go through it. I'm going to start off with revenue. Oh, you can't see the top part of that though.
Want me to shrink it down?
Yeah, maybe.
Is it nice?
I wonder if we can shrink it just like it by a
Sometimes
smaller
you can move the,
percentage.
Look if I can go here. Can I go there?
No, maybe
Nope.
you have to leave it there.
So go here and then
Oh.
like this.
Oh,
You guys like that?
They got the font that I need.
Oh, that's your other option. Looks like.
Yeah.
Can you see that, Kevin, when she does it the smaller one?
I can adjust it a little bit, zooming in, zooming out. I can see operating revenue 11.06, and at the bottom I can see donated facilities with a green arrow pointing down. Is that giving me the full view?
Yes, yes.
Ah, awesome then. We're all good.
Okay, so these numbers are in comparison to the same quarter as of for last year. So operating revenue is up $1.3 million this year through the third quarter, which is 11%. That was mostly due to the rate increases that we did, one in June of last year and also of this year for a commercial. Interest on investments continues to be an increasing cash flow for us. We are up 384% from the same point in time last year, and also an additional $786,000. So while these interest rates are up, we are making some money on the cash we have invested. So contributed other capital is also up $66,000, and that is the reimbursables that the district owns, so money that we collect on those is up from last year. Connection fees are up 37% from last year. Donated facilities are down a little bit. So that's revenue in a high level look. Overall, our maintenance and operation expenses for the year are under budget by 12%, $827,000. When I compare it to last year's third quarter, they're up $612,000. No surprises, that was all part of the budget. It comes in 11%, makes most of that is like our just inflation increases in costs and our consumables. The monthly average for M&O expenses is $6.8 million, and our actual was a little over $6 million. So we'll go into a little more detail and breaking down the M&O expenses. Administrative expenses are up slightly, $42,000 from last year, but overall under budget of $135,000. The main reason for them being under budget, our salaries are coming in lower than what we had anticipated, and there's a line item for dues and certifications that's also below by $18,000. Taxes and insurance expenses are up 29% from last year and over budget slightly, $1,900. I mean, that's very, very minuscule. Advisor expenses, this is one area where you'll see a kind of a difference from the norm. It's down 43% from last year and under budget by 24%. And the main reason is we haven't had our 2022 state audit yet this year. I don't know if you guys remember,
Yeah.
It's being postponed until next. And so those expenses were on the budget for this year, but we'll be rolling those into next year's budget. So you'll see, a big decrease in those and being under budget this year. Field and maintenance overall is under budget by $253,000. These are just some of the the line items that are significant in those areas that I point out, they're kind of basically in line with the last few quarters that I've reported on. Nothing to me stands out very significant. Field safety is under budget 49,000. Salary expense is under budget by 104. I won't go through them all. They're all in the financials too.
Yep.
The treatment plant is, so it's under budget overall, $273,000. Big significant items are the plant electricity is under by 85,000. Biosolids even came in under 10,000, and we did adjust, at mid-year, because I think it was over budget earlier in the year, and then at mid-year we adjusted. It's coming in slightly under now. I think plant salaries as well, under budget by 62,000. So when we boil all this down, essentially for the year, our year-to-date change in net position, which is our net income, is 3.9 million, which is significant. When I reported at the end of the second quarter, I think we were at like $400,000 or $500,000 in net income. And so this has been a huge change, and it's been mostly due to revenues, connection fees, lower expenses. We're over last year at the same point in time in net income by $1.1 million. That's resulting in cash's increase from second quarter to the third quarter by $3.4 million. So because we've had a huge influx in the change in net position, and we haven't been spending as much on the capital projects. So the money's sitting in there, and it's also making us money currently. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is, so that's the end of like the financials. We're kind of already started the budget process for 2024, and I wanted to kind of talk about with you guys and just get your feedback. And you don't necessarily have to give me back the feedback today if you don't have it. Something to think about and get back to me on is I want to make some changes with how the budget and the financial statements appear for next year, for 2024. And in doing that, I want to run through just a few things that I'm seeing, and then I want to hear what you guys want as well. And so along those lines, the first thing I want to point out is if you looked at the financials, page 14 is the capital, it's the capital project summary. This financial statement that you're looking at for September, it did change. And so if you were to look at this report in comparison to even August, you'll see that the numbers and the items on here changed. And I just want you guys to know that I brought it in line with what our annual budget lists as our capital projects, the budget amount, the amount spent in the remaining budget. Before this, it wasn't necessarily in line with that. I brought it, so they replicate each other, so we're reporting on the same one. So these are all capital projects that have been approved through the comp plan. And so if they're approved in the comp plan, and they're approved at this point in time as of 2023, they're on the budget, and then they're also now being reflected in the financial statements. And so the total amount that we have, under the estimated cost column has grown based upon what we were reporting on prior. So I wanted to point out that significant change when you're looking at it. And I'm going to continue to do that going forward. So in terms of other changes that I want to make that I'm suggesting is, so there's a few, revisions to chart of accounts. So our list of accounts, there's some minor changes regarding how accounts are named, naming conventions. Some of them don't make sense, and as being a new person coming in, it was hard for me to even figure out what they were. I had to go in and they don't align. Like the name of the account versus what's being posted into them don't align. I want to make some minor changes. An example is there's an account called District Admin SAL Clearing. it's really hard. No one knows what that is until they look inside the account. And it's really our web check revenue and expenses. So I want to call it that. I want it to be really clear. So I do want to make, I'm not going to go through all of those with you guys, but I just want to let you know I'm going to make some account changes if you're okay with that, that just clarify what the accounts represent. In addition, so one of the bigger changes that you guys would see in terms of the budget and the financial statements when you're looking at them is right now we have lift stations. So some lift stations have their own expense accounts for utilities and maintenance, and some don't. We have, I don't know if you were to look at our chart of accounts, you probably see like 8 different line items for lift station utilities. So like 8 different ones, but one will encompass 3/4 of our lift stations. Another one will have just the city lift stations in it, but not all of them. And then there's some line items, some lift stations that just have their own, like lift station 15 has their own, and lift station 12. And it's really, we're not, yeah, it's frustrating from my point of view, and I even think from management's point of view in trying to work through the budget and in AP, we want to streamline it and create one for utilities, lift stations, so let me restate that again. One expense account for lift station utilities where they all go in there, and we will still be able to filter and run reports by lift station, but it'll all be in one line item, and then one lift station maintenance expense account, same thing, where they're all in there. And I will pause there if you have any questions on that or thoughts. I know I've said a lot.
I think in the business they call that organic chart of accounting. As things just evolve. So here's the thing, I don't have an issue with any of the cleanup, any of the naming conventions, any of the accounts that make it more clear. I just think you have an organization that's been around for 70 years or coming on 70 years, that this sort of stuff happens. And frankly, it's awesome to have a fresh set of eyes come in and look at it and say, you ask the question and the answer is, well, I don't know, we've always kind of, done it that way. So it's a great time to clean it up from my perspective. I guess I would only have 2 things. One thing I would watch, and the other thing that I would ask is, whatever cleanup we do, let's just document the heck out of, what account's going to what account, what's the logic, what was the, so if somebody, 10 years from now needs to go back and do some forensics or needs to do a PDA, public request for info or whatever, there's the next poor person can, go through the logic and have it really clear and have a kind of a work product that would help them guide them back to whatever it was. Other than that, and then, clearly all the summary stuff isn't going to change. Our statements of cash and, our capital projects, those are the things that I look at most closely, and it doesn't necessarily matter what the naming convention is behind that, as long as it's traceable. That's my 2 cents.
Awesome. I will add that I'm going to make one additional change that if guys, and I'm sure you're fine with it, but we have our income statement that we're putting out, the budget variance portion. We're not, when we report on the budget to you guys in the actual financial reports, we don't give you the full income statement in terms of the budget. You're only getting the M&O expense portion in terms of the budget. I want to make it the whole income statement, so I'm going to work on getting that set up so you'll get that information. You'll get to see revenue and everything, all of it in relation to the budget. But yes, thank you for those comments, Kevin. I'll definitely do that. If there's any additional reports that you would find helpful, any of you let me know while I'm, in this mode of trying to figure out what I want to do, reach out and talk to me, because I am open to, hearing what information is helpful to you guys. I want to be able to give it to you. So anyways, that's it for me.
Anything from my fellow commissioners?
Nope.
I was just gonna say I love seeing people be proactive in their position, try to make things more clear and, find better ways to do things. And I don't know if it's necessarily better or not, but it seems better to me. And I appreciate anyone in their position trying to streamline things and improve. So thank you.
I guess the one final comment is there's a lot of information here. I can extract what I need from the format that is there. So, and I'm confident I can extract what I'm interested in from whatever format it ends up going to. So make it easy on staff, make it easy on yourself, make it clear, err on that side of efficiency, because there's plenty of information here that gets to what I am looking for. So.
Right.
I think that, one last little comment, just because I just love wallowing in the numbers and rolling around in them. I think this is the first time, I could be mistaken, but I don't think so. First time I've ever seen on our cash position page up on page 1 under capital that dollar amount is greater than what I see on page 14. Jonathan, hold me honest here.
No, I think that's correct.
And so you got 21 million there, you got 19 million here. So we, at this point in the juncture, the Lake Stevens Sewer District has every one of their capital projects funded with money in front of it. And that is not by accident. That is by so much hard work by this team. It's by some hard decisions that have been made, many of them based on staff recommendations, and some courageous commissioners around rates and around paying down of debt in advance and around bond restructuring and all those things. So it doesn't happen by accident. We got a little bump on rates. That always helps, right? So we'll take the bluebirds where we can get them in terms of interest income. But there's a bunch of deliberate and strategic steps that this team has made over the past several years that has put us in this position. And I couldn't be prouder of the numbers. It's just awesome. So anyway, thank you. Great review.
Yes.
Okay, with that, this goes to anything else on the finance side before I jump?
No.
Nope. I think we're.
With that, then let's parlay into one of the fastest trucks on the planet.
Yeah.
All right. So this brings us a 7C 2024 Ford F-150 Lightning purchase.
Yes.
All right. So we are requesting, we have in our budget to replace 3 vehicles this year, and we're held off on replacing 2 of them. But we're kind of down to the wire on the purchase of I'm sure you've seen the headlines of Ford reducing the production of their Ford Lightning, the electric EV vehicles. They aren't selling like hotcakes like they expected. But we have the opportunity now that if we are able to write a PO before the end of the year, that we're essentially guaranteed delivery of one by probably June-ish. So staff is requesting the commissioners authorize the purchase of that Ford Lightning EV pickup truck for $77,591.61. Just so we can get guaranteed delivery. And as you guys know, the state is really pushing for public providers to go to an all-electric fleet, and I think this kind of moves us in the right direction. So.
Well, I know that it's actually in state law, we're supposed to have a mix of hybrid and electric vehicles. I guess I have no issue with it. I know that I've seen some of the public agencies, emergency agencies, actually put these trucks into service. So quite pleased at how well they're doing. I would only caveat, I think we should probably eventually look as an organization of putting a charging infrastructure at the district that actually is more than an extension cord to a light pole eventually, just because I think charging stations are one of those things that are becoming more and more. to get the kind of charging station we want. I think the only one that I know that's closest is Target parking.
And it only works about 50%
Well, yeah.
of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's broken more often than it's working, I think. So, yeah. And I think that's something that we may be able to tie into the remodel here at the building, at least get a couple
Yeah, do
spots.
something. I know that, well, I was talking to Granite Falls and they were looking at doing some stuff up there with a lot of the stuff they were doing. So I have no issue with it. And with that being said, I'd make a motion authorizing the district to go ahead and make the purchase of their vehicles. I know we had one once before, but Ford said, well, we appreciate your business. You're not getting it. You pulled the order. So, and it is in the budgetary. I think when we looked at vehicle replacements, we had monies in there. So.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. All right. Enjoy the new truck. Okay, that brings us to managers' reports. I assume, Jonathan, you're going to do double duty on A and B?
Yeah. All right. So Caring by Sharing has $248.34, enough for helping two ratepayers. Plant Flow is at 4.7 MGD. Plant 10 through November, 91,534 pounds, which is 72% of our limit. So Plant's been knocking it out of the park, keeping us out of trouble, and foregoing a very expensive upgrade to try to treat the nutrients. So they're really knocking it out of the park. Hiring. So staff conducted interviews for the accountant 2 position, and are currently doing background checks. First round of interviews for the lab analyst position, staff conducted last week and the week before, and still working on trying to find the unicorn, the perfect candidate for that one. District has issued 149 permits and collected 71.07 GFCs thus far this year. And for capital projects, district, we had the pre-construction meeting with Shoreline Construction to start the 5C decommissioning and bypass to 4C. That work's slated to begin January 2nd. Excited to get that done. Had staff go out and put flyers on people's doors notifying them that construction will be beginning on that. So yeah, again, excited to get that started. It looks like all of the downtown projects, the 2C upgrade, 2C force main, and the gravity line replacements, will be ready to go out to bid probably mid to late January for that. We're still getting some feedback from the city on some of our permit stuff, and as more reviews start happening of the plans, there's more city departments reaching out to us. It sounds like there's a lot of city projects that are happening around the same time frame. So we're going to work on coordinating, making sure that neither one of us is stepping on each other's feet, and hopefully we'll be able to find some efficiencies to reduce costs overall. Yeah, and that's about all I got.
Fantastic. Any questions?
No.
All right. Well, we can go to the city's report. Do we have anybody from the city? I don't see anybody on the wall.
We did get an email from Jean.
Okay.
Apologize for not being able to make it today, but said the city has nothing to report.
All right. Well, that we'll take that under advisement then. All right. Well, that brings us to commissioners' reports. How about commissioner number 1?
Not a whole lot other than, hey, we're in the fourth quarter of the year. Staff is doing awesome. Love to see the financials. It is really, really great to see. The interest rates we're getting on our investments are paying for some of these upgrades. So we've never counted on interest rates like we've been seeing for at least a dozen years, it feels like. But it's great to see that. I look forward to. I know we're going to be having the staff get together next week with everybody, so look forward to that. It's a great time of year to just thank everybody that comes personally for the hard work, because you guys make it happen. So that's about it.
Commissioner number 2.
First of all, just after going over the financials, Tracy, I love seeing with the budget how many things said under budget, and I feel like that speaks volumes for planning. And it's always very stressful when when a business is consistently over budget. So I think a lot of work has been going into those yearly budgets. So thank you for that. And I attended the Wazwood meeting this last week. I thought it was really interesting. Alderwood discussed how they would combine contracts with neighboring sewer and water districts, and the enormous savings that they got by grouping their projects together and multiple competitive bids. And it was a really interesting and exciting thought of a different way of doing business and being able to get things done in a timely manner. That's it for me.
That's awesome. Just one question on that, because I'm curious, do you think there's, anytime you go across 2 different agencies, it's, it's just more complicated, but do you think there might be, from what you heard, an opportunity to reach out to PUD and or something similar? We do, between the city and us, we're tight on our projects and making sure we don't step on each other. And if there's synergy on, things like Costco and that kind of stuff, we've been successful together. But do you think it's applicable more broadly?
Yeah, I would say it would be. I know that Mariah had indicated that they had reached out to see if we could be part of the grouping, because I had a question in regards to the geographical area. I mean, knowing South County with a lot of those folks down there, are they restricting it to just a certain, 30 square mile area for these? And the gentleman said no. They actually, what they were surprised, as I think Commissioner Wright had indicated, was they have national level contractors bidding on this stuff, because it's guaranteed work that they know they can come within a community for the next 4 months and do this kind of work. So while we might be a little further north than what they would really include us in, it was a conversation I think that we were talking about, why couldn't we replicate this with the Marysville or the Snohomish or Grand Falls, to really kind of come together? Because if you can guarantee per se work that everybody's knowing that's going to come, you're going to attract some of these larger contractors that are going to say, hey, we know if we go up in this area for the next 4 to 6 months, we got work plenty. So yeah.
And we did reach out to Alderwood and tried to get on the piggyback.
Yeah.
But they're at capacity. It's Alderwood's staff that is working as the project manager, and I think there's 8 other entities that have already signed up for it. So their project management is maxed out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that is an interesting factor, right? You have to have an organization willing to be the point person, and then they pay the bills, and then the other groups then pay Alderwood. So you also have to have that cash, right? To be able to pay those bills in a timely manner. But nevertheless, it was such an interesting concept of being able to get things done in an efficient manner.
That's great. I think that's fantastic. And since I missed it, I appreciate you sharing it. I mean, I just love seeing that community of interest, combine. It makes sense. You mobilize once, and have it be big enough to attract a wider set of competitors. So awesome. Thanks for sharing. Anything else, Commissioner Wright?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. No, you bet. Yeah, the only thing I have, I'm kind of like Columbo on these finances, but I circle back on that. I give all my positive comments on that. But the only other follow-up I had was, given how much cash we have, and the fact that we now have more in capital than the project listing, my intuition says this is not going to pencil, but it would be worth looking at. The interest rate that we're getting paid on those funds through the pool with Snohomish County, what does that look like relative to our highest interest rate loan, SRF, whatever that might be able to be paid down, and what does that interest rate look like? And just a little, even if it's just a back of an envelope compare that says, you know, should we take $2 million of that cash and pay something down that can be paid down? Does it give us an interest rate advantage? Being in a position like this is just awesome to be able to consider something like that. But that would be, I think, a worthwhile analysis just to poke into and just take a look, and maybe just have it on a reoccurring loop while we're in these higher interest rate environment. So that was just one comment I thought that I was thinking of while folks were talking. And another thing is I'm back into town on Monday and be through January, so be there for the Christmas holiday party and get together, as well as our next utility meeting and all that. Looking very forward to seeing you all in person. So with that, we do have an executive session in regards to the one topic I have is in regards to evaluation of a public employee. I would like Roz to attend that portion of it if she is available. Is there any other topics? If she's available, is there any other topics that or items, generic items to include in our executive session today, or would that do it?
I think we would, if the commissioners want potential or current litigation.
Okay, all right. And then, Jonathan, how much time would you anticipate would be appropriate for that topic?
That topic, probably 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, and then I'm going to be bold and say that we're going to need, why don't we go to 10:10, and I'm hoping if we need to extend, we will extend. I'm hoping we can fit it within that footprint. Anything else from anybody? Would that work? All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Jordan, you want to do the preamble?
Will do. The Lake Stevens Sewer District Board of Commissioners will now move into executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110 subsection 1 subsection G to review the performance of a public employee, as well as RCW 4230-110 subsection 1 subsection I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to pending or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body or member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party. The executive session will start at, I have 9:37. Is that what the district has?
Yes.
Okay, and will last until 10 a.m. At the conclusion of the executive session, the commission will, Commissioner Koshy will adjourn the commission meeting with no related announcements or action. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
As promised, we're back in session at 10:10 a.m. and we need a little more time. So we're going to go back into executive session for an additional 20 minutes, planning to come back out at 10:30 a.m., at which time no decisions or actions are anticipated. Thank you very much.
This conference will now be recorded.
Coming back into regular session, we're going to extend our executive session by 5 more minutes. No anticipated decisions or actions afterwards. We'll come back out at 10:36.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we're back out of executive session, back in general session, and the only order of business we have is to conclude this grand meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor? Aye. Appreciate you
Thank you,
guys, gals. Take care.
Thank
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.